Silence is not weakness, it is power. In a world where everyone is shouting to be heard, the quiet one often stands tallest. The Stoic philosophers understood this truth deeply. Epictetus once advised, "Better to trip with the feet than with the tongue. Words once spoken cannot be taken back." But silence is choice, restraint, and mastery. Think about the world we live in now. Social media rewards the loudest voices. Workplaces are filled with endless meetings, and conversations often turn into competitions. Noise is everywhere, and yet silence has become rare, almost a lost art. But here is the paradox. Those who learn when to be silent hold the greatest strength. They are not pushed by anger, ego, or the need for approval. They control themselves, and in mastering themselves, they master every situation. In this video, we'll explore 6 key situations where silence is your ultimate weapon. 6 moments in life where holding your tongue is not cowardice, but courage, not passivity, but power. By the end, you will see that silence is not empty. Silence speaks, and in many cases, it speaks louder than words ever could. Situation 1. When you're unfairly criticized. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "If it is not right, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it." The emperor who ruled the greatest empire on earth understood the futility of defending yourself against every unfair word. If what is said about you is false, why waste your breath? If it is true, silence gives you the chance to quietly correct yourself. Imagine this. You've worked for weeks on a project at your job. Your boss dismisses it harshly in front of others, not noticing the effort you put in. Or maybe at home, a family member judges your life choices, accusing you of irresponsibility. The instinct is to fight back, to defend, to argue. But here is where silence becomes power. By responding with calm silence, you remove oxygen from the fire. You show strength that words cannot. Instead of escalating conflict, you redirect the energy inward, asking yourself, is there a lesson here? Or is this simply noise I should rise above? The Stoic response is to control what you can, your own reaction. When you refuse to lash out, you show integrity. When you remain quiet, you disarm your critic. Silence in this moment is not weakness. It is proof that you belong to yourself, not to the judgment of others. Situation 2. When others are boasting. Seneca once said, "Work in silence, let success make the noise." It is one of the simplest, yet most powerful lessons in the Stoic playbook. Imagine yourself at a party or a networking event. A colleague goes on and on about their new promotion, their expensive car, or the money they're making. The air is thick with ego. Your instinct might be to jump in, to balance the scale with your own achievements. But here's the truth. The person who feels the need to boast is revealing their insecurity. The one who stays quiet reveals their strength. Silence in these moments is not passivity, it is confidence. When you don't feel the urge to compete, others notice. They see you as someone who doesn't need validation, someone who stands secure in their own worth. And ironically, that makes them respect you more. Let your actions speak. Let your work, your character, and your consistency do the talking. The noise of boastful words fades quickly, but the quiet power of dignity lasts. Situation 3. When you're angry. Epictetus warned, "Better to trip with the feet than with the tongue." Why? Because a stumble can be forgotten, but reckless words can leave scars that last a lifetime. Picture this. You're in a heated argument with a partner, a co-worker, or even a stranger. Your blood is boiling and sharp words are forming on your tongue. You want to strike back, to prove your point, to hurt them the way you feel hurt. But if you speak now, you will almost certainly regret it later. This is where silence becomes your shield. By pausing, by refusing to let anger control your voice, you give yourself space to think. You prevent escalation. You protect your peace. And more importantly, you maintain your integrity. Silence in anger is not suppression. It is transformation. It turns blind rage into measured reflection. It allows you to ask, what matters here? The argument or the relationship? My pride or my peace? The storm of anger always passes. If you speak in its fury, you may burn bridges you cannot rebuild. But if you hold silence, you walk away with strength, dignity, and the power to choose your next move. Situation 4. When facing rumors or lies. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "The best revenge is not to be like your enemy." When rumors or lies spread about you, the temptation is to rush in, defend yourself, and shout down every false word. But Stoicism teaches us that truth has a way of revealing itself, and silence can be the most dignified answer. Think of a wise teacher or respected leader. When students whispered doubts or colleagues spread rumors, the teacher didn't fight back with anger or accusations. Instead, they let their life and their work speak for them. Over time, their character became undeniable, and the rumors dissolved into nothing. When you choose silence in the face of lies, you're not admitting defeat, you're showing trust. Trust in truth, trust in time, and trust in yourself. To engage in every argument is to step down to the level of the accuser, but to remain calm, to keep moving forward with integrity, is to show real strength. Silence here is not weakness, it's dignity, it's the refusal to be dragged into mud, and ultimately it's the proof that your life speaks louder than any rumor ever could. Situation 5. When dealing with loss or pain. Seneca once said, "What need is there to weep over parts of life? The whole of it calls for tears." The Stoics did not deny that life is full of suffering, they accepted it. And in times of loss or deep pain, they found power not in loud outbursts, but in silence. Think of grief, losing a loved one, a dream, or even a way of life. Words often fail in these moments. Advice feels empty, explanations can't heal. But silence. Silence allows space to breathe, to feel, to let the wound begin to mend. When you choose silence in pain, you create room for reflection. You allow yourself to sit with the sorrow instead of running from it. You give yourself the chance to grow stronger through acceptance. The Stoics remind us that loss is not an exception in life, it is the rule. To face it with quiet courage is to honor the reality of existence. Silence does not erase pain, but it transforms it into something meaningful: wisdom, compassion, and resilience. In grief, words may fail, but silence can hold the weight of healing. Situation 6. When faced with insults. Epictetus once said, "If anyone tells you that a certain person speaks ill of you, do not make excuses. Answer, he does not know my other faults, else he would not have mentioned only these insults are sharp, but they only wound us if we let them." The Stoics believed that another person's words cannot harm our true self. Only our judgment of those words can. Think of great leaders like Gandhi or Nelson Mandela. Both endured years of criticism, mockery, and insults. Yet how often did they respond with words of retaliation? Rarely. More often they let silence be their shield. And in that silence the world saw their maturity, their restraint, and their strength. When you answer every insult, you give power to your attacker. But when you stay silent, you rise above the noise. You show that your worth is not defined by another person's tongue. Silence here is not surrender. It is self-mastery. To respond with calm, with a quiet smile, or with no response at all, that is the highest proof of confidence. It is the moment where silence speaks louder than anger ever could. So what have we learned? Silence is not empty. It is power, dignity, and strength. In criticism, silence disarms conflict. In boasting, it signals quiet confidence. In anger, it protects peace. In rumors, it preserves dignity. In loss, it holds space for healing, and in insults it shows true maturity. The world may tempt you to always reply, to defend, to shout louder, but the Stoics remind us that wisdom often lives in stillness. The one who controls their tongue controls their life. Here's a challenge for you. This week, choose just one of these 6 situations to practice silence. Maybe in the face of criticism, maybe when anger flares, maybe when insulted. Hold your tongue, breathe, and feel the strength that comes from restraint. Silence doesn't mean doing nothing, it means choosing your response wisely. And in that choice, you discover your freedom. If Stoic wisdom gives you strength, subscribe and walk this path of calm resilience with us. Together, we'll learn the power of stillness in a noisy world.